You moved away, gave her space, and were quiet, but nothing changed. You didn't feel guilty or chase her, and she might even seem better now that you did what she told you to do. No calls, texts, or other noise. You thought your absence would make her curious. Even desire, but nothing. Truth be told, no contact alone isn't always enough. Some women don't react the way you expect them to, are stubborn, have other options, or have never really valued you, but that doesn't mean you're helpless. You have more power than you think. If you play this right, it's not about waiting or hoping she comes back. It's about changing your energy, taking back control, and making her see you in a way she can't ignore if you're ready for something stronger that turns the tables. Come with me today. We'll go further than not talking at all. Let's start with number 1. When no touch fails. So what do you do when no touch doesn't work? What's next? You thought she'd miss you and wonder where you went while you were gone, but she didn't. Silence by itself doesn't make people want to be with you. What you do with that silence is what counts. When a woman already values you, she sees you as someone she doesn't want to lose. But what if she never really saw you that way? What if she saw the silence as nothing more than an open door to walk through? That's the painful truth. But no contact works when a woman already values you. There's something stronger than no touch control indifference that a lot of men don't want to face. A woman isn't drawn to the absence of a man. She's drawn to the presence of a man who is above, seeking her approval. This is where you stop playing the waiting game and start shifting your energy. Imagine she reaches out, not because she's lonely, but because she senses that something in you has changed. The man who once waited for her is no longer waiting. He's too busy living, he's too focused on his own path, too engaged with his own purpose to wonder if she'll ever text back. This is what the Stoics understood. Control what is within your power and let go of what isn't. You can't force someone to miss you. You can't manipulate their emotions, but you can become someone they regret losing. Instead of using silence as a weapon, use it as a transformation. Instead of checking your phone in, instead of second-guessing what she's thinking. You're at the gym, pushing past your limits. You're out building connections, refining your craft, sharpening your mind. You've turned your silence into self-improvement. And suddenly the dynamic shift. She senses it. Because women feel when a man has detached, and nothing is more powerful than a man who no longer needs to be wanted. It's not about acting like you don't care. It's about not caring at all because you're too focused on your own evolution. That's when attraction is easy. When a woman sees she can't take your attention for granted, she starts to wonder why, and that curiosity stops waiting and hoping that she wakes up one day and realizes she lost something valuable, instead becomes something valuable for yourself. And when she does come back around, you'll have a choice, not out of desperation, but from a place of strength. That's the real power. Number 2, stop disappearing and start standing out. Most guys think that if they just disappear, she'll suddenly realize what she lost and come running back. But women don't chase what disappears. They chase what stands out. The key isn't to be gone, it's to be the man she can't ignore even when you're not around. A man who simply vanishes is easy to forget, but a man who leaves an undeniable mark, that's the one who lingers in her mind, who she compares every other guy to, who she starts to question whether she misjudged you. Don't create attraction through absence, you create it through presence, even in your silence. This is where most men get it wrong. They think pulling away is enough, that if they just stop texting, she'll suddenly crave them. But a woman doesn't miss a man who disappears. She misses a man who had a presence in her life. And that presence isn't about always being there. It's about who you were when you were a stoic man, understands this deeply. He doesn't just react, he creates. He doesn't sit around hoping she feels something. He becomes someone she can't help but feel something for. And how does he do that? By stepping into a level of self-respect and self-mastery that makes him stand out from every other guy playing the same tired games instead of vanishing into thin air. He levels up. He sharpens his mind, his body, his ambition. He cultivates a life so full that his presence is felt even in his absence. He doesn't need to chase her, and he doesn't need to fake detachment. He truly doesn't have time to waste waiting on her response. And that's when everything changes, because a woman doesn't feel loss when a man disappears. She feels it when she realizes he has moved beyond her, when she sees him thriving, becoming more, evolving into someone who no longer needs her validation. That's when the doubt creeps in. That's when she starts wondering, did I make a mistake? So stop trying to be missed by being absent. Be the kind of man she can't ignore, even if you're not there, because at the end of the day, those who stand out are the ones who leave a lasting impression. This is a key point in understanding how presence, even in silence, can dramatically change perceptions and desire. It's not about disappearing, it's about becoming unforgettable in your own personal growth and integrity. If this view resonates with you or makes you think, please click the like button. Leave a comment with your thoughts or just type presence over absence below. Sharing your experiences and thoughts not only makes the conversation better, but also helps other people think about how they approach presence and attraction. Let's look at more ways to create a magnetic presence that makes you undeniably attractive, even when you're silent. Number 3. The secret to making her think about you. If she's not thinking about you, it's because you haven't given her a reason to. No contact isn't a magic spell that makes a woman miss you. It's a space where you either become unforgettable or fade away. The difference you make in the background, the shift in how she sees you, the thing that makes her stop and ask, what's he doing? This isn't about bragging, posting flashy pictures, or making empty moves just to get a reaction. That's what desperate people do. A stoic man doesn't try to get attention. He commands it effortlessly by becoming undeniable in silence, by turning his absence into mystery, not irrelevance. Most guys disappear hoping she'll notice, but a man who changes while he's away is a man she can't ignore. Think of when she sees you again, she doesn't see the same old you. Instead, she sees someone sharper, more disciplined, and more at peace. You're no longer the guy waiting for her approval. You've become the man she needs to earn back in her life. Women don't just miss you, they miss the energy, presence, and way you made them feel. So if she's not thinking about you, it means she doesn't want to be with you. That experience wasn't strong enough, and your attention should not be on her, but on getting better so that she has no choice but to notice. Picture this. Instead of asking why she isn't reaching out, you're in the gym. Instead of checking her social media, you're out there making moves and building a life that excites you. You're not waiting, you're changing. And when she does think of you, which she will, she won't just be curious. She'll feel something deeper, like she may have wrongly judged your worth. That's the real secret. Don't want to be known, but make it impossible to forget number 4. There is more faith. Being confident is louder than quiet. When a man is rejected, he doesn't break down. Instead, he gets better. He doesn't see her leaving as a loss. Instead, he sees it as a chance to get better. Where most men see failure, he sees growth. And where most men lose it, he stays calm. If a woman decides to leave, it doesn't change his worth or foundation. Instead, it fuels his growth, because rejection isn't the end of the story. It's the start of a better one for a man who knows his own worth. Most men respond to rejection by remaining silent, hoping that she'll notice their absence and realize what she lost. But silence alone isn't power. What you do with that quiet gives you real power. What happens when you're not there is more important than just being gone. It's not the man who sinks into self-pity that a woman misses. It's the man who grows during their time apart. Confidence doesn't come from being wanted. It comes from knowing your worth. When you act like a man who doesn't need approval, women can tell. Your presence carries weight, not because you're demanding attention, but because you simply exist in a way that commands it. And the moment she realizes is you're not chasing, not sulking, not waiting for her reconsideration, that's when the dynamic shifts, because suddenly she's not just dealing with a man she rejected, she's dealing with a man who evolved past the point of needing her approval. Think about it. A woman expects a man to either beg for her attention or disappear into self-pity. That's the typical response. But what she doesn't expect is a man who becomes better in her absence, the man who refines himself instead of breaking down the man who walks forward with purpose, as if her rejection was nothing more than a passing moment in his greater story. That's the man who leaves a lasting impression. Now picture this. She sees you again expecting the same version of you, the one she walked away from, but instead she finds a man who has leveled up, a man whose presence now commands attention, not because he's trying to prove something, but because he truly no longer needs to. His energy is different. He moves with quiet certainty. He doesn't need to prove himself to her or to anyone because he has already proven himself to the only person who truly matters himself. And that's when she starts to wonder, did I make a mistake? A Stoic man doesn't fade away to be missed. Instead, he becomes unmistakable, so that even when he's not there, his presence is felt. In the background, hoping for a second chance, he builds himself up into such an interesting and grounded man that she starts to change her mind about him on her own. Maybe he wasn't who I thought he was. Maybe I misjudged him. Maybe I lost something important. So don't let rejection get you down. Let it shape you and be the push you need to grow and rise above to become the kind of man who never has to chase after what isn't meant for him. Because in the end, confidence isn't about proving her wrong. It's about being so sure of yourself that her opinion doesn't matter anymore. And that's what makes her notice you. Are you someone who has ever felt stronger or more driven after being turned down? How did it change the way you think about your own worth and growth? Share your thoughts on this idea in the comments section below. Think about how you've grown during times of silence. This isn't just about getting over rejection, it's about rising above it to a point where you are so sure of your own worth that nothing else can shake it. Let's keep looking at how adopting a Stoic attitude can turn rejection from a setback into a chance for something bigger and more in line with your true self. Number 5. Mystery is more. It's more interesting to discover something mysterious than to watch something far away disappear. A guy can be quiet and hope she wonders where he went, but being unreadable is what makes her want to be with him. Most men make the mistake of thinking that cutting off all touch will make them want them more, when in reality it just makes them forget about them. Stoic men don't just disappear, they make people want to know more. Women aren't interested in absence, they're interested in intrigue. If you remove completely, they have nothing to hold on to but mystery. Don't close all the doors, leave just enough for her to wonder. A small change in your energy, a glimpse of your evolution, or a hint that you're doing well, but never enough to make her think she knows everything about you. Think about the difference. If you cut her off completely, she has no new information to process about you, so her thoughts will eventually go elsewhere. But if she gets small glimpses, a subtle reminder of your presence, she will feel like she knows everything. Something that makes her think you're moving in a way she didn't expect keeps her interested. A woman doesn't feel lost because you're gone. She feels it when she realizes she can't reach you like she used to. That's when doubt starts to form. She's scrolling through social media and sees a post from you that's not forced or showy, but something different. You're not flexing or trying to prove anything, but there's an air of change. You're in a place she's never been with you and at an event she didn't expect. The way you're interacting with people shows that you've grown. It's subtle but effective. She starts to wonder if he has changed and if I made a mistake by judging him differently. Stoic men don't try to get her attention or give her constant updates, but they know that mystery is built by contrast, being there just enough to be felt, but never fully accessible. They work on themselves in silence and let their progress speak for them. They don't need to say how well they're doing because it shows. That's why mystery is more appealing than distance. Distance is easy to forget. Mystery stays on her mind, so instead of disappearing entirely, become unpredictable. Let her see just enough to spark curiosity, but never enough for her to figure you out completely. Because when she doesn't know everything, she starts imagining, and that's when you truly live in her mind. Number 6, show up. But on your terms. This is key. Instead of waiting for her text, you move on your terms. Most men stay trapped in limbo, hoping their absence will be noticed, checking their phone like it holds the answer to everything. But a stoic man, he acts not out of neediness, not out of hope, but out of his own internal compass. He reappears in ways that shift the entire dynamic. Not to seek her validation, not to make her chase, but because he's too focused on his own growth to care whether she notices or not. And that is what draws her in. Women aren't drawn to a man who waits. They're drawn to a man who moves, a man who doesn't stall his progress just because she hasn't come running back. When you carry yourself like someone who has options, who is too invested in his own journey to be stuck in the past, she starts to wonder, did I misjudge him? Was I wrong about what he meant to me? The power isn't in going away, it's in coming back in a new way. If she sees you again and nothing has changed, you've wasted your time. But if she feels a shift, if she feels like your energy isn't tied to her approval anymore, that's when she starts to feel something. She thought you would either chase her or disappear, but you became something she didn't expect, a man who evolved beyond the need for her presence. Imagine this. You show up in a place she least expects you. You're not there for her. You're there for your own growth, your goals and purposes. When she sees you again, she realizes that you're not the same man she left behind. The way you carry yourself, the way people react to you, your quiet confidence that says, I don't need to prove anything to anyone, that's when she realizes you're not the same man. So stop waiting, hoping, and thinking that no contact will work like magic. If you reappear, do it not to chase or impress, but because you are already on a path so strong that your presence naturally draws attention to you. You can become the man she regrets losing by moving forward without trying or forcing anyone to notice. And when she does notice, it won't be because you waited for her. It'll be because you were too busy becoming the man she regrets losing. Now take a moment to think, are you moving with purpose, or are you still waiting in the shadows, hoping she'll notice your absence? You can share your thoughts in the comments section below, or if this message speaks to you, just drop me a line. I move forward no matter who sees me. Let's see how many of us are really moving into our power. Number 7. You should be the prize, not the make yourself the prize, not the choice. The thing's a woman, it's likely that she didn't chase you because she thought she had time. She thought you'd always be there, waiting and available. This is the trap that most men fall into. They make themselves too easy to reach, too predictable, and too safe. But when she realizes that time has passed and you're no longer the man waiting in the background, that you're being valued by others, That's when regret starts to set in. A stoic man knows one simple truth: you don't make someone want you. You become someone they can't afford to lose. And you do that by raising your own worth to the point where her absence is no longer a concern. Most guys get it wrong when they think that shortage just means not talking to her, but that's not enough. It's easy to forget a man who just leaves, but the man who becomes more in his absence is the one who stays in her mind. Imagine she sees you again, not waiting or wondering, but thriving. Your energy is different, you're more present, you're not reacting to her as much, and you're going on your own. Then something else happens. She realizes that other people value you. Maybe new women are interested in you, or maybe your group of friends is growing, your job moving faster, your life getting bigger. It's clear that time has run out on her because the man she used to know isn't just gone. He's grown into something better, and she might have missed her chance. Let him go. This is what it means to make yourself the prize. Not pretending to be someone you're not, but really becoming someone of such value that she feels your absence not as a void, but as a loss that she has to deal with. A stoic man doesn't need anyone to validate his worth. He knows it, and others can sense it. This is why confidence is more attractive than availability, and self-respect is more powerful than words. When a woman realizes you are no longer an option, she suddenly sees you as a much more valuable prize than the one she took for granted. There isn't enough silence. Control the narrative. Number 8. Silence isn't enough. Control the narrative. Silence is just one tool. It can create space. It can make her wonder. But by itself, it's passive. It's like expecting an empty stage to tell a story on its own. What's more powerful? Selective engagement, the kind that makes a woman think, that keeps her intrigued because she never quite knows what to expect from you. Most men either disappear completely or overcompensate when they return. But a stoic man doesn't fall into either trap. He doesn't just hope she notices his absence. He shapes what she notices. He controls the narrative picture. This, instead of ghosting her into oblivion, you re-emerge. Not as the same predictable man she left behind, but as someone different, someone she has to reevaluate. You don't flood her with messages, but when you do speak, it's with intention. You don't chase, but when you engage, it leaves an impact. She starts to realize she can't read you the way she used to, and that sparks curiosity. Women like guys who are unpredictable and make them feel like they can choose to be with them instead of having to. Controlling the story is much more powerful than just remaining silent. If you speak, say it with purpose. If you respond, do it on your terms, not because you're impatient or trying to win her approval, but because you are in charge. That's where the power lies, not in silence alone, but in how you break it in the quiet confidence that tells her, without words, that you are no longer the man waiting for her. You are the man she now has to figure out all over again. This helps us understand something very important. Silence by itself isn't a plan. How you use it does. Think about this. Have you ever found that acting on purpose and picking the right time to speak with someone made things more interesting and respectful? How does being in charge of the story, instead of just fading into the background, change the situation? Feel free to think about these questions and share your answers in the sections below, or just type "control the story," not just the silence. Your experiences are important, and they might help other people understand this way of doing things better. 9. Let's keep talking. Allow her some room, but don't allow her some space. But not too much. Too much absence only works when there's tension, when there's something unresolved, something left unsaid, something that keeps her mind returning to you. But too much space, that's when you become irrelevant. And a man who is easily forgotten is a man who never really mattered in the first place. The trick isn't to vanish, it's controlled distance, being present just enough to stay in her mind, but never enough for her to take you for granted. A stoic man understands that attraction isn't built on extremes. It's not about clinging, and it's not about disappearing completely. It's about striking that perfect balance where she feels your absence but also senses your presence in subtle ways. Imagine you go no contact, but she never sees a hint of change in you. No evolution, no growth, no presence in the world she exists in. What happens? She moves on because in her mind you cease to exist. But now imagine she gets glimpses, a passing comment from a friend, a post on social media that says you're hanging out with new people, or an unexpected conversation that makes her think of how she used to feel about controlled distance. You aren't overwhelming her with your presence, but you aren't giving her total freedom to forget you either. You remain a question mark in her mind, a presence she can't quite shake. And the moment a woman starts wondering, the moment she starts feeling the uncertainty of where you stand, that's when she starts to miss you. The key is value. If she always had easy access to you, space alone won't change anything. But if she once valued you, if she once saw you as a man who stood out, then your controlled absence causes doubt, and doubt is powerful. Did I misjudge him? Has he changed? Why does it feel like I lost something? A stoic man never lets himself become invisible. He remains just present enough to be felt, but never available enough to be assumed. That's how you make space work. Not by disappearing, but by making her feel the void you leave behind. Number for 10, become the kind of man she feels bad about. Become the kind of man she regrets losing. Losing no contact was about hoping she misses you. You pulled away, stayed silent, and waited for her to realize what she lost. But real power, it's when you don't even care if she does, because you've built yourself into such a high-value man that she has to notice even if she never admits it. Most men use no contact as a waiting game. They think if they stay quiet long enough, she'll come running back, filled with regret. But here's the hard truth. Women don't miss men who stay the same. If you disappear and nothing about you changes, she has no reason to look back. The only way she regrets losing you is if you become someone she can't replace. A stoic man doesn't sit around hoping for recognition. He refines himself. He sharpens his mind, his body, and his purpose. He becomes so focused on his own growth that whether she comes back or not becomes irrelevant. And ironically, that is what makes her take notice. For example, she assumed you'd always be there, lingering in the background, waiting for her to realize your worth. But then she sees something different. Maybe it's the way you carry yourself now, more confident, more in control, no longer reacting to her absence. Maybe it's the way other people start valuing you, friends, new women. Your job moving forward, this is where the shift happens. Regret doesn't come from your absence. It comes from her understanding that she lost a man who kept evolving, and that kind of regret lingers because now she can't just pick up where she left off. She has to earn her way back into your life. If she even gets the chance, a man who truly understands his worth never waits to be missed. He moves so far ahead that by the time she looks back, he's no longer where she left him. And that's the kind of man she regrets losing. The one who didn't wait, the one who became undeniable, number 11, if she comes back. If she comes back, you set the rules. You set the rules. And if she reaches out, that's where most men go wrong. They see her text, her call, her sudden curiosity, and they jump as if everything they went through was just a waiting period for her to return. But not you, not anymore, because now it's no longer about trying to win her back. It's about whether she fits into your new reality. A stoic man doesn't just accept people back into his life automatically. He decides whether they're worthy of another chance. He doesn't operate from scarcity, from desperation, from the illusion that her return is proof of his worth. His worth was never dependent on her recognition. And when you reach this level, everything changes. She expected the old you, the one who would still be waiting, who would instantly welcome her back, who would prove himself again. But instead, she finds a man who has leveled up, a man who no longer needs her validation because he's too busy living with purpose. And that realization, that's what shakes her to the core. Let's say she texts you after months of silence, expecting warmth, familiarity, the same dynamic you once had, but she doesn't find that she finds a man who responds on his terms. Maybe you reply, maybe you don't. But if you do, it's not from a place of longing, it's from choice. She's no longer the center of your world, and that subtle shift in energy is everything you see. Women don't regret losing a man who's just been waiting around for them. They regret losing a man who outgrew the need for them, a man whose life expanded without them. That's the man who suddenly feels out of reach, and that's when she starts chasing. Not because you disappeared, but because you became something she can't easily get back. So if she comes back, you set the rules. You don't just accept her because she finally decided to show up. You decide if she has earned another chance in your world. And when you reach that mindset, when you genuinely don't need her anymore, that's when you realize you were always the one with the power. As we've conclusion explored today, stepping beyond the conventional no-contact rule requires a deeper transformation. It's not just about waiting out the silence. It's about becoming someone too compelling to ignore. The strategies we've discussed are not just about regaining someone's attention, but about reclaiming your self-respect and redirecting your focus towards personal growth and self-mastery. Now, if you found these insights valuable, I encourage you to like this video and leave a comment below, sharing your experiences or questions about moving beyond no contact. Have you tried any of these strategies? What was the outcome? Let's discuss and learn from each other. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you won't miss out on further material on the screen. You'll see recommended videos that will help you delve deeper into becoming the most magnetic version of yourself. Watch them next and continue your journey of personal evolution. Thank you for watching. And remember, become the kind of person you can't ignore, both for others and most importantly for yourself.